I'm your host, Donna Cates, and each week we'll dive into powerful stories, expert strategies, and practical tools to help you take charge of your financial future. Whether you're planning for retirement, navigating a divorce, or simply looking to build your wealth with confidence, this is your space to grow, learn, and thrive. Let's get started with today's podcast. So, I am so excited to introduce you guys today to Patti with Up Your Creative Genius. And I'm going to tell you, I just watched one of Patti's TED Talks and am blown away by her creativity, ingenuity, and just total positive energy. And before we dive into the interview, I'm going to share with you too, I love your presence. I love your eyeglasses. I love your hair and I love your energy. So without further ado, I'm going to let Patti introduce herself really quickly, and especially with pronouncing her last name because I did not want to butcher it. So welcome, Patti.
Thank you so much, Donna. I'm so excited to be here on Money Matters because it really does. My name's Patti Dobrowolski. I'm a live illustrator and keynote speaker. So I show people everywhere in the world how to draw a picture of the future and use that picture to make it stick.
And that is so fabulous. I'm going to tell you why that resonates with me. You're making it stick by physically doing the drawings and being involved in it. And you know all the brain work that I do. So I'm going to get you to explain a little bit of that. But for me, I kind of relate to doing vision boards. I'm a very visual person, and I've created, vision boards, but it's typically me cutting and pasting or doing it electronically. And what happens, Patti, is I'll look at it. I'll have the discipline to look at it 2 or 3 times a day for the first 3 or 4 days, and then it's gone. And it has absolutely no impact. So I understand that the work that you do is a lot more impactful. So tell me a little bit about that process and how it makes a difference.
Yeah, vision boards I think are fantastic. And I started with a vision board early on in my career. But then I saw somebody draw a picture in a meeting I was in. And I thought, wow, that picture stuck with me and it aligned people in the room. And I thought there's something interesting happening. So I began to experiment with drawing an actual picture of the vision of the future that I wanted to step into instead of doing a vision board. And what I found was the feeling that came through me attached the pictures better in my hippocampus. That's the part of your brain that remembers things, right? And there was something about the feeling of me envisioning myself in that future that made me want to go back to that feeling again. So the somatic act of actually drawing, even if you can't draw, in fact, there's research that shows if you can't draw a good picture, it's even better because your brain wakes up when you're in the act of drawing. What are you drawing? Why are you drawing a picture? Ooh, that looks terrible. Doesn't matter because it's attached now in your brain. So that's one piece of it. And then, a couple of years ago, I think it was during COVID, I got contacted by the Consumer Finance Protection. And I thought, oh, my credit's been stolen. And they said, no, what we want to do is use the Draw Your Future process to see if we can help people save better for the future. And I thought, oh, I love that. Who's running the study? And it was Dr. Hal Hirschfield out of UCLA. So I flew to LA to meet with him. And what his studies show, and this is really important for your audience, is that when you attach yourself to a future you, and you have a strong connection to it, you actually make better choices in the here and now. And the studies show that you actually save 35% more when you attach yourself to future you. So, this is why when we're talking about money matters, it really does. And how you believe and perceive and understand your future and attach yourself to that older you that you are going to be one day, it helps you to make better decisions.
I'm so excited by that. And I will share with you my personal experience. I've been a financial advisor working in the money and investment space, divorce, financial planning, and things of that nature. But it amazes me every day when I'm talking to people and you ask them about their dreams. What is it they want to achieve? Now, somebody can easily say, I know I want to retire early, like 65 versus 67. But beyond that, they really struggle with defining what it is that they want. So I can see the work that you do having a
Yeah.
direct impact on opening up the thinking, the how they can get connected to that and be able to better define it. So very, very
Well,
interesting.
yes, and I think it's what's important about it and what's simple about it is that all you have to do is get a blank piece of paper, or you can go to my website and download the template for free. But in that template, you look at where you are right now, your current reality, and you capture it in words and pictures. And you try not to do a list. This is what analyticals do. We often make a list of things, but we want to scatter it around the page. So we break up our thinking. What's going well? What's challenging? Then you take a break, like drink some water, jump up and down, do something to change your body chemistry. Because once you have put here the challenges, your brain will only remember those. It's only going to focus on it. So it's going to problem solve for that. And that's not what you want. Those things will happen and you will problem solve for them in the future. But your future should be more expansive than who you are right now. And in order to do it, you have to change your brain chemistry, jumping jacks, water, chocolate, any of that. And then you envision a future a year to 3 years from today. Best case scenario. Like really get way out there with the things that you want because it stretches you beyond who you believe yourself to be. So we kind of leap over the limiting beliefs to create that future vision. Now, but it has to be somewhat realistic to the things that you want to do. It should be your secret dream that you're having your own business or helping a million people with their finances, things that having a podcast, right? These things matter. And then all you do is you look at where you are and you look at where you want to be, and then you close the gap with 3 bold steps. And this is the part that where you talked about a vision board and then you look at it for a couple of days. A vision board is great, but if you don't have an action plan, just like if you want to save for the future and you don't have an action plan and then you're still going to Starbucks every day, right? And spending that money that you could be putting into something else, right? I mean, that's just one shortcut to saving, right? This will be hard for you to achieve. So you look at these and you create 3 bold steps and then you break it into simple actions you could do. And I always tell people, action ceases panic. So if you feel panicked about what's happening in the world, you feel like things in your life are out of control, or your family, or your health, whatever. If you're panicked, do something about it. Don't just panic. Get yourself to refocus on the future you, and then take one small step toward it. Because then you're tapping inside of you, the part of you that will remember it's closing the loop on the success factor. Your brain is always trying to solve problems, and it'll solve a problem with negative thinking as easily as positive. And so you want to solve it with something that you get a reward for and reward it for doing things.
Wow. So that resonates with me so much. I'm like going, okay, she's in my head now because I do the list writing and then I'm very critical thinking, but all the things. Well, Patti, I did notice that you have worked with several major corporations in the U.S. So I would love to know, where do you see your industry and your role, over the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see that going, and what kind of impact do you think that will make?
That's a great question. So I have a new book coming out, which I have a little copy of it, the cover of it. Here's my cover. It's Drawing Your Future to Solve Problems, Explain Ideas, and Sell Anything. Now, I put out a book every couple of years because I want to give the tools that I have to other people. And so when I first was an illustrator early on, 30 years ago, there were like 7 of us in the world. There were not that many visual thinkers. And so what I tried to do with any team or business that I started was we trained people out in the world to become visual, to help them understand. We trained graphic recorders really all over the world. And part of what we see now is we see that people that's caught on and everybody understands the power of it. So for me now in this part of my career, I spend a lot of time mentoring people. I mentor people and I partner with organizations that are trying to expand economic pathways. So I work for, Amazon, Microsoft, big companies like that. But in my world of service, and that's a service, right? But here is the service where I'm trying to help people to understand that if you draw a picture of something you want, you put it somewhere you can see it every day and you take small actions on it, you increase your chance of success by 42%. I mean, 42% increase. Think about that. You slap it on the dash of your car while you're driving Uber and driving people around. This is how you change your world. And so if for me, it's all about mentoring and showing people, giving them the tools that they can expand and they can grow into the dream that they long for. It's not that far away. I was a starving actor in Seattle, schlepping burritos. I drew a picture. I went to New York for a summer. I drew a picture of it that myself on Broadway as an actor. And 6 months later, I got a call to audition. That show that I got into went to the main stage, Kennedy Center, and Broadway within that year. And so for me, I know from personal experience, a drawing works, and my belief in myself is going to help me make change. And that's what I want to help people understand. And I know you do too, because you're all about empowering women to take charge of what's happening.
Absolutely. And I'm curious to know when you're approaching businesses or even
Yes.
individuals like myself about learning this skill, what
Yes.
kind of challenges do you encounter? I mean, do you have like I'm sitting here going, okay, I can imagine a lot of corporate people just going, oh, that's a lot of woo woo kind of stuff. But tell me
Exactly.
some of the challenges that you've had to overcome.
Well, in the early days, I would go into the office of somebody's business and I would say, let me show you how valuable a visual will be. And I was pitching them, but I would draw this whole picture for them. And then at the end of it, they'd be like, yeah, we don't have the budget for that. And then they would say, but if you could leave the picture, that'd be great. Right. And so I learned over time that you give a piece of it and then you let people see where it can take them. And now, with media and social media, you can show people so much better. But the biggest obstacle I come up against is that, and even, I was just at one of those big companies and they had never seen it before. And at the end, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that we didn't use this. And everybody's bringing their card up, right? Because they want you to help them. And that's great. And I'm one person, and there are many of me out in the world now to help you. But it's even better if you draw your own picture. It's even better if you're running a business meeting. You grab the pen, you go to the whiteboard, you say, okay, right now the team's not doing so great. Where are we now? Just write words and draw a few pictures. Where do we want to be, and how do we close that gap? It's as simple as that. It's just a gap analysis, and you could do it with your finance, you could do it with your health, you could do it with your relationships, if you want to flip your career. And I always encourage people, you can watch my Draw Your Future TED Talk that went viral. And that one will, in 8 minutes, you'll understand the process enough to do it yourself.
And that's the one I watched just before we hopped on the
Yeah.
podcast. And that was very, very empowering. So I'm curious to know as well if someone like me, an individual sole proprietor, or
Yeah.
a group of people wanted to hire you, what would that look
Yes.
like?
Well, all you have to do is, go to my website, Up Your Creative Genius. There's a place to contact me or book me if you want me as a speaker. And then we get in a conversation about it. And then from there, then I can help craft the agenda for it. I'll run the meeting. I'm a facilitator, right? By training. I was trained as a drama therapist. So I'll run the meeting if you need it, or I'll just illustrate it if that's what you want. But I do one-on-one sessions primarily with women who are making change, because I think, this is my target audience and I want you to be successful, right? I want to help you. And so I've shown many women who are starting their first business, or someone who is actually stuck in their business and wants to have some growth in it, or whatever, that I'll do a one-on-one session. And so we could set that up. And that session takes about 90 minutes to 2 hours, depending upon how much you talk and how much I draw. And you end up with a beautiful 4-foot by 8-foot illustration that I ship to you. And then you can hang it in your office, right? And same for if I'm speaking to an organization. I do a lot of that, speaking to organizations around the world who are wanting to bring something into their venue, their event, that's different, to get people to envision, like, how could you use everything that you're going to learn at this event? What's your plan for your future? And how can you, these bold steps might be meeting people and networking and finding the right tools.
Oh, very empowering. And I'm going to say, from a selfish perspective, Patti, I'm thinking of how having you present to the women that I work with who are going through divorce, how impactful that would be, because so many of them, they're just so afraid of the unknown and don't know the next steps. So my head's spinning with ideas there. So
yes. And I think that's such this is the thing. The universe runs on fear on one side, love on the other. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like a coin. And whether you're in a divorce, no matter what, this fear is going to rise. So you have to learn to shift to love yourself through the experience, to love that you are going to learn some new things about how to recreate your world, to love that you're going to have new relationships with people. And I think this is, empowering. And the work that you do, Donna, I mean, it's really incredible. I did a lot of, I always dig up on people to see, like, what's she doing and what are people actually saying? So the fact that you're helping people to really get a grip on this, and particularly women who've gone through divorce, this is fantastic work in the world.
Absolutely. And I feel that, what you're doing is really changing lives. And that's why we all do what we do, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're here in service to the universe, and we get the gift of using our passion to do it. And that, I think, is what everyone should have the opportunity to do, right? You want to serve. If you want to serve in education, great. If you want to serve through nursing, great. If you want to run your own business and you want to be an influencer in some way, you could do that too. And we know that when you start your own business, you got to roll up your sleeves. It's hard work all the way to where we are at our age, right? It's not an easy task, but it's so rewarding because you get the benefit of seeing people transform. And that transformation, that I play a very small part in that. I mean, I get hundreds of emails every year from people all around the world who've watched that talk, and they say, this changed. I was able to do this. I changed my life. I changed my career. I learned that I was doing something for someone else and not for myself, right? And these things, they matter.
And it must be so rewarding to you to get that feedback from the people that you are impacting. Because I think a lot of times, we're having an impact, we just don't get the feedback. So knowing that people are circling back with you and saying, hey, this is how you changed my life. That's significant. And I'm curious.
Yes, and this is how and I always say to them, it wasn't me, it's the process. The process changed you. And now you know how to use the process, and you can do it anytime you feel stuck. Piece of paper, current state, desired state, 3 bold steps, get going. right?
Love it. I love it. And you make it sound so simple. We just have to get into the practice and the routine of using that. So Patty, I do
Yes.
have one question for you. What would you say is your biggest failure of challenge that you've faced thus far in your life, and how has it shaped who you are today?
Well, one of the biggest challenges I faced was when I first started to go into business. I was an actor and that had an artistic break. I couldn't perform anymore. And then I got trained as a drama therapist. So I knew that drama was always impactful, right? But I wasn't a great therapist. I mean, I was so impatient with people. I'd be like, you have a drinking problem. Get to AA. That guy's bad for you. Leave him, like that. So my friend Michael said, you should come into business because in business, they love it when you tell them what to do. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. So he sends me on a big project and it's a merger of two banks. And I'm the change agent. This is good. I have a program they want me to do. And I think to myself, okay, I'm going to get a three-piece suit and I'm going to go, skirt and heels and go in there. And I'm going to run this program. And let me just say, hashtag fail. Like people were leaving my session and not coming back, it was so bad. And after that, when Michael said, yeah, I can't send you on any more things for a while. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to learn how to be better at this. But what I learned from that was, you always have to be yourself. That wasn't me. I'm not that person. I mean, look at me, right? I'm who I am. And so I have to always bring myself. And when I'm authentically me in the room, people feel seen and heard. And then from then on, I was really successful in training people around the world because I would just, if I wanted to, I'd lay down on the floor and I would just say to them, you have to be yourself. And the other piece of that is that you have to be flexible, right? So recently I did something, this is story two. Recently I went in to give a keynote. And, I'm a live illustrator, right? So I've got a big board with 4 foot by 8 foot, and I'm on stage talking to the audience. Well, normally they would have a video camera on me so that the audience could see what I was drawing. But in this case, there was no video camera. And unbeknownst to me, that audience, these were people who were sitting with people they worked with every day. And I was asking them to talk about what was challenging in their current reality and then share it to the room. And then what they dreamed about doing and then share it to the room. Now, they couldn't see my pictures I was drawing, except if they were in the, first 8 rows. And here I'm asking them to share things when they're sitting next to their boss.
Right.
So how did that go? You can imagine. And at the end of it, this guy said to me, another speaker was there following me, and he said, he pulls his iPad out of his bag. He said, you should have drawn on this. And I'm legacy. I like drawing pen and paper and letting it emerge in the room. But I always pay attention when people say stuff to me. I think the universe is talking through this person to me. This isn't critical feedback. This is feedback to help me grow. So right away, I tried to figure out how could I have done it differently. Could have brought my iPad, videotaped it. I could have drawn it, some pieces of it on that iPad at the same time I was drawing here, right? And so you have to, in order to be relevant, you have to be willing to change. And we're in a time of AI. And if you think that you're going to get out of learning about AI, you're sorely misinformed. You have to understand how it works so that you can grow with the time and understand the consciousness as it expands. So you can expand with it, whether you like it or not. this is the world we live in. Don't you think?
I do. And I appreciate the fact that you're taking what could be construed as criticism. And normally you say the word criticism and everybody thinks negative, but you're taking it and using it as a tool to learn and expand and give people more of what they want or what they need. So that's very empowering as well. So I'm curious to know, what do you see for yourself down the road?
Well, a couple things. One, I know that some of you are going to see this book in the airport, and I want you to take a picture of it with yourself with that book and send it to me, and I'll enter you in a contest to win a free session with me. One of those sessions where it's just you one-on-one with me. And so that's one thing that's happening, is that book coming out this year is it will be the last time I'm talking about drawing your future in this way.
Okay.
The other thing is, I was an actor before. And so this year, in the past couple of years since COVID, I started to write a play about what it was like growing up during my era. And so it's about a character growing up during that time and all the things that my mother did to help protect me and keep me safe during that time. And all of the ways that I evolved and found my way. And so this I'm going to do this year. I'm going to just I'm going to put it up in a small theater and see what happens. It's called Polly's Army of One. And so that's what I'm going to do this year. And I can tell that I have feelings about it, because it makes me kind of tear up when I talk about it, because I think that, I was an actor and I did go back on the stage, but this time I would go back as one person playing multiple characters, which is how I started. So I feel like, full circle. We're coming around.
Full circle for sure. And I can feel your energy and enthusiasm over that. So tell me, when will the book be available for purchase?
Yeah, you can pre-order it now on Amazon or any Barnes and Noble like that. And then on November 26th, and this is important, on November 26th, we always do like a discount on the ebook. So you can get it for not a lot of money. And then if you write a review and you take a snapshot of that review and send it to me in an email, I'll enter you into that contest.
Oh.
So November 26th is when it's coming out. And I'll for sure, Donna, as soon as I get a copy, I'll send one to you.
Okay. So fabulous. I'm so excited. I can't wait for that. So I really appreciate your time doing this interview with me today. And literally, I love everything about you, even though we've just met. So
I know it. I'm so excited to have met you. I was like, yes,
the
this is perfect.
synergy is fabulous. So I'm very curious to know, do you think it makes sense for us to have another opportunity to talk about
Definitely.
how we would collaborate? Because I definitely
Yes.
we could support one.
Absolutely. I would love that. I would love that. I see a lot of collaboration.
Yes.
I think it'd be great.
And I do too.
Yeah.
So tell me, is there a best time of day for us to meet, or a particular day of the week that's best?
No, just you can get in my schedule. I'll send you a link to my calendar, and then let's just book a time.
I think that makes sense. Okay, I really do love it. Appreciate your energy, and thanks for your enthusiasm and sharing all of your talents with us. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, informed, and ready to take the next step in your financial journey. Remember, building wealth isn't just about money, it's also about creating a life that aligns with your goals and values. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with the women in your life who deserve financial empowerment too. Until next time, stay confident, stay empowered, and keep building the life you desire.